Welcome to another episode of the Bubble Podcast. Today it's again in English because our guest is originally from England. It's Kathy from Helvetia Rockt. Hi, nice that you're here.
Hello, thank you for having me.
And Helvetia Rockt is an organization from Switzerland, and they take over responsibility for women and non-binary people in the industry and try to support them and to educate the community and the population of Switzerland, literally. And today we will learn a little bit more about them because it's very important that something like this is existing, especially after the last votings in the US. I think it's more important than ever. And I think we will start with our category. What is the biggest beginner mistake in your opinion?
I think when I started out, I really underestimated the importance of visual language in what we do, but also what other people do. I think often it gets forgotten how powerful this is. And that it's really worth thinking about what images are we spreading and what message do they give.
All right. Yeah, that's true. I mean, especially as a musician, you're always thinking about the music, but not about how the music is transported visually. So I think this is a good advice for the people. And before we start questioning you, I want to introduce you a little bit more. So your job at Helvetia Rockt is community and offer coordinator. Offer coordinator is right. And you work there since 2018. Exactly. And you know how it works. We are live. So if you have questions, you can directly ask Kathy or me, of course, and we will see the chat as well, so we can interact with you guys. And we are talking about LGBTQ+ and all these topics today, and we are, as always, expecting a little bit that you are already informed about the topic, and if not, if some words or anything is not clear to you, just ask. Yes, so let's go. Please tell me something about you. How did you get to the music? You grew up in England. Now you're here. So let's go. What happened that you're here now in Switzerland?
So I grew up in Sheffield in Yorkshire, Northern England. And I have both parents who are migrants. My father's Indian. My mother is from Austria. And it's quite typical of migrant families that they try to fit in. And at the same time, as a teenager, I think for me, I had this realization that I don't fit in or I'm different. And somehow I didn't have role models around. I had to look elsewhere. And I think music for me was the thing. I mean, music moves me today like it did back then. But for me, it was like access to other worlds. It was access to different people. So I think that's where it started, probably with listening to radio and realizing, that this does something with me. And then later on, I went to Liverpool to study. And there I got more involved or more active. It started with writing articles for the student newspaper about music, going to gigs, gig reviews. I started DJing, which was really by chance. I went to a club and somehow the music didn't fit the audience, and I went up and spoke to the DJ, and he said that, the DJ didn't show up. And then I lied. I said I DJ. And then it was funny because then I got a DJ gig. You make it literally for the next 4 years. Every week I had a gig at this club, and sometimes you have to just jump in there. And I think the same happened. There's like an alternative radio station. I don't know if it still exists, Crash FM it was called, in Liverpool. And the same happened there. I just turned up and asked if I could do something, and they gave me a show. And it was quite rare because in radio usually it's defined which music's played, and I had free choice. So I played everything from like gospel to indie to electronic stuff. And I really was very lucky in that I was in the right place at the right time and asked to be involved.
So you started as a DJ in the industry.
Yeah, exactly. And that kind of then moved on from there. I started working for an independent label in Liverpool alongside my studies, Invicta Hi-Fi. And then I started working for a major label, BMG, at the time where I was like a student representative.
How old were you then?
I was like 20.
Well, that's young. That's young for the industry.
Yeah, but it was really this, when bands would come to Liverpool, then I was sorting out radio interviews, people writing about them. But it was, it was a major label, so it meant I was often pushing music that didn't move me.
Yeah.
And at the same time, when we had like label meetings, I realized, hey, somehow I don't feel comfortable in this setting. I think the hierarchies,
Also it's not just about the music, it was also about the environment and the people who were moving in it.
Yeah, and who had power, and I asked,
Fortune.
right, it's a business, but it was also back then, it was a while ago now, it was end of the 90s, so we've moved since then, but still there's a lot to do. But
yeah, important to mention it now because it shows why you got to Helvetia Rockt at one point, right? Because when you started your career, you already saw these problems. Yeah, you felt it. Maybe you could say like, okay, it's because of that and that, but you were experiencing exactly something is not.
It was more that cool. I really felt it was a feeling rather than I think later. Now I can totally explain it. Yeah. But at the time, it just didn't feel good. Yeah. And then after that, I lived in Amsterdam for a couple of years and then moved to Lucerne end of 2002.
Why?
And my work moved. I was working in Amsterdam and they moved to
the
Lucerne.
label BMG?
No, I was working then in like education and travel.
For what?
For a Swedish organisation, for EF they're called. And they moved the headquarters.
Is this music?
No, it's not connected to music. It's really...
So you did, you worked in the industry, then you didn't work anymore in the industry, but you were always making music? Or
DJing? Yeah, that's also a story, I think, in itself, that I grew up with a brother and a sister, both older than me, both really good at music. My sister has kind of an opera voice. My brother played the cello. And I felt... compared to them, I felt that it wasn't very good. So I kind of stopped.
I wanted to ask you if you saw yourself not as a musician more than... No, well, I have to say it differently. That you didn't saw you as a musician in the first line, more the person who works in the industry. Yeah, but it was more because of your siblings.
Yeah, I think so. And it's a real shame because I was very good at sport and they quit sport because they lost to their little sister, and I quit music because I felt they were better. And so my way of being involved in music was getting involved on different levels. And yeah, that's what I did with DJing, playing other people's music. Getting active. And then it was nice in Lucerne because Lucerne's small, and if you go to gigs, you see the same 5
Shout out to Lucerne if we have people from Lucerne.
Yeah, you see the same people at concerts. For me, it was also kind of a way of integrating. You kind of always saw the same people. This was nice, but at one point I also realized I wasn't seeing the concerts I wanted to see. So at that stage, I started just more as a hobby than anything else, organizing concerts.
What time it was?
We're talking about like 2008, 2009, something like that. Yeah.
All right.
So there kind of I got active then in that way. And then kind of from there, Helvetia Rockt, someone sent me the job advertisement, Elia, in case you're listening. Thanks for that. And I looked at it and read it and I started laughing because I was like, what, I can pay my rent with this job? That's awesome. And then I looked at what they were looking for and it was like literally my CV for me. Yeah, so...
but at that point you were not, we were involved in the industry as a band organization.
Yeah, but in my spare time, I still had like a full-time job.
But it was not like you were fully involved. It was like through Helvetia Rockt you got into the scene more.
Yeah, totally. Okay. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, so that's how it happened.
But it was 2008, not 18.
Yeah, between that, just organising gigs. Now and again, I did some political organising for like the queer scene in Lucerne together with a few others where we were putting on events which was like bringing certain themes that we were
Missing.
yeah, and I think also like cross-generational.
Yeah.
I think a lot of queer folk, they might go clubbing or they might go to a film festival, but there's not many places where the generations meet.
Yeah.
And at the same time, yeah, bringing visibility. We talked about homophobia in sport, like during Sochi, the Olympics, or trans identities. Really, like, yeah, giving space for themes that we felt was important.
Cool. Yeah.
So this took up a lot of the time in between.
All right, I see. So in 2018, you started your work at Helvetia Rockt. And before we start to talk about Helvetia Rockt, I wanted to ask Alia if there are already any questions. And if not, you have the chance to ask also about Kathy and how she'd get there. And if you want to know more, just tell us.
There's just a shout out from Midnight Snack Collective. Just shout out, they're such a big fan. So this.
Yeah, we had one of them were a guest as well in here, Angie Addo. So she was already here for the drag queen team. Yeah, so you're friends, right? Yeah, you know the industry is small. But yeah, so tell me, what is Helvetia Rockt? ChatGPT, one sentence.
We are a national association in Switzerland, and our focus is on gender and music. We try and work on different levels. So we feel like to make sustainable change, we can't just focus on one place, but we do like grassroots projects, like for people from 9 years old onwards, where really, giving them access and getting them started, experimenting, making music, DJing. But then we also have other levels where we try and support established musicians. And then there's a third level, which is sensitizing the music industry in Switzerland, where to begin with, we had this thing called Empowerment Day, and we would meet once a year and discuss themes, but we realized it was really our bubble who were coming there, which was great, but we felt like to really make lasting change, it was important we get out of the bubble. And and you did. You did.
Yeah, I think, I first heard from Helvetia Rockt when I worked for Suiza, because Suiza is one of the sponsors of some projects of Helvetia Rockt. And after my time at Suiza, I decided to do my own business. And maybe some people don't know, but you can get member of Helvetia Rockt. And for me, this was such a good thing, because I as a woman, I'm also part of the minority that you are representing. And for me, the best thing was the music directory map. This is so cool. Can you say a little bit about this?
Yeah, definitely. So we it actually started in COVID, but the thinking process started a long time before that. I'm sure some of you will have also heard that argument, like, oh, I'd love to book more women or non-binary people, but they're not out there. And our feeling was, hey, they are out there, and they you just need to search a little bit more. So we built this digital directory, and it is used by bookers, and people do get gigs via it, but it was also the music directory, maybe to explain it, it's really for musicians, but also other people working in music. So you could be a booker, you could be a photographer.
Exactly. So just to explain, it's a platform where you can search for musicians or for producers or for music manager. And it's just in this data bank, there are just non-binary and female people. So this is the,
Yeah, exactly.
platform.
And we really spell it out. For female, inter, non-binary, trans, and agender people.
Yeah. And you already said that you don't like the argument that they are not there, so we cannot book them because they are not there. So this is one part of your job, that you show that they are already there, but you also do workshops so people can get there, right? And there are workshops for newcomer, they are, but also workshops for people who are already in the scene, right?
Yeah,
So
exactly.
can you tell me a little bit more about this offer? What different workshops are here?
Yeah, for sure. So for younger folk and people looking to start out or maybe been working on their stuff in their bedroom, we have offers like we have a songwriting camp in summer in the Romandy and also dazu,
That's cool.
right? And we have band workshops. That's actually our oldest project. That's over 8 months. A band forms in a city and they write songs together, maybe learn covers, then they go on tour. And then there's this big final concert where all the bands from all the cities, I think it's 8 cities, come together and have a grand finale. That's coming up on the 30th of November in Bern. If anyone's in Bern and wants to come along, it's going to be a great night. It's usually really moving. It's lovely. And then like that's when I came in actually. When I first started Helvetia Rockt, my job was to build up the project music lab, and that was with a focus back then on DJing and beat making. Even though we've come a long way, there's still a lot of gender cliches out there about who's good with technical stuff and who isn't. And we really wanted to change that and show people that, hey, you can do it too. And you
Not
can,
about the gender,
yeah. And
if you can do it or not.
Exactly. And I think in itself, it's empowering. And some people like Midnight Snack Collective, actually, we met them through the members of Midnight Snack Collective. All 3 of them did workshops right at the beginning. And then they actually led a kind of discovery course together. And then they got to know each other. And before we knew it, they had this DJ collective.
Cool.
Yeah, it's great. So there's that side of things. There was like this pre-study from Pro Helvetia where we found out more about the situation with gender and culture. And there, for example, people working in studios, it's like 2% finto or female non-binary people. So now we started recording step by step, which is giving people access, to studios and learning how that works. And they're really trying to create safer spaces where people feel well in experimenting. Usually in the workshops, there's a great atmosphere that builds up.
Yeah, because it's different, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I think, exactly. And
maybe we should, explain a little bit, because I mean, not all of our listeners have experienced something like that, or are members or potential members. So if you are just under female and non-binary people, it's a different work. Because it's hard to explain, but when there are men, it's always like the view of your work is different, because it's not a thing that we decided or we say like it's our opinions. It's a fact that women and non-binary people have to do more work for the same attention like men. And if these people are just on for them, they don't have to be under this pressure. And so it's not about excluding people, but it is different. I mean, also, if you are a man and you're listening now, I mean, when you're just under men, it's also different, right? So it's about to have something together, not to exclude somebody, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and it's super interesting. Often, like, really young kids, that it's not such an issue with all gender workshops. But then teenagers especially, I think in that age, people are really shy to experiment if they don't feel comfortable. So that's why we really choose these spaces and choose to make them safer spaces.
So that it's not biased by the gender.
Exactly, and not often because of these gender cliches, then people are, oh, you must be good at that. Can you do that for me? And that, actually they can do it themselves.
But you have a very nice voice. You want to sing? You want to do the technique? Oh, you're just a good-looking person. Right, yeah, this is exactly what I'm trying to say.
So there's that. But then for like workshops for people who are like one step further in their music, we do a workshop. It's coming up soon, actually, called Cut Through the Noise. That's all about like how you communicate about your music, how you promote your music, booking. It's like over a weekend. And there, on one hand, is super valuable inputs, and also 2 bookers come in to talk about that. But also there, the bonding and the network that evolves through the workshop Yeah, it's super valuable also afterwards.
Yeah, I think one of the best things to learn or to make good agreements with other people from the business is to connect. And the best case is to, how do you say, like, create something together. And this is a very good foundation.
Yeah,
To build something,
yeah.
right? So, yeah. And the third part of your organization is to
Sensitize,
sensitize people. And one thing you do is a podcast,
yeah.
right?
Yes, yeah, we do the Musicians in Conversation podcast, which is produced and presented by Natalia Anderson, who's awesome. And there we have, you guys should listen to it. It's on kind of all your regular podcast channels.
We will put it in the show notes, the podcast and the Helvetia Rockt website, of course.
Hey, and there it was really out of this idea that I think for a lot of people, also for me as a teenager, I lacked role models. And we really also wanted to get away. Often in these kind of discussions in the past, it was very much like, oh, poor thing, you're a woman or a non-binary person in the music industry. That must be really tough. We wanted to move away from that, and we wanted to talk about, hey, how do your creative processes look, or how did you get into it, or really like just hear stories. And it's interesting as you listen through. There's so many different stories.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I can relate.
So really give them space. It was also a lot of the people in the podcast were coaches. So also for participants to feel a bit more comfortable to get to know their coach. Also then in the last season, we also had people working behind the scenes in music, because there are a lot of jobs there too. And that's a big focus of our work as well. We think who's on stage is important. It's the microphone is in a way is power, right? But also who's making decisions.
Yeah.
Who's deciding who wins a prize.
Yeah, that's very nice too.
Who's behind the sound desk.
Yeah.
So
we do the same, right? Somehow it's the same like we do. But I think more focused on, we try to make it more commercial than the other guys. But I think there is a question, Alia.
Yeah, there's actually a question.
Can you copy it to me? Because I'm not sure if people can hear you.
And there is again a question from Midnight Star Collective that asks, do you have your own profile on music directory?
yes, of course. Yeah.
And for what we can book you? Like work together or what?
Yeah, I think for me it's really the two things. DJing. Exactly. DJ and my work with Helvetia Rockt.
What's your DJ name?
DJ Girl in the Garage. With like girl, like Riot Girl.
The whole team is laughing now.
It's a name I had from 20 years ago.
You have to stay with what is good, right?
Yeah. That's it.
Very cool. So, are there any questions about Helvetia Rockt? Do you guys think we explained it well, or is there anything left? These are the three main points you are serving.
Yeah.
But you do a lot of more, and it's also a fluent thing, right? It's also working, changing, and also the team. I think this is also important to say. The team is also female and non-binary, right?
Yeah. And maybe just on the point of like sensitizing and what we work on there, there were in the past also often panel discussions about diversity and and somehow at some point we got a bit fed up of having the same conversation
again and again. Yeah, this is why we said in the beginning we have expectations that people are already educated in some things, because you cannot expect from people that are confronted with the problems that they are going to explain it again and again and again and from zero again and again and again.
Yeah, exactly. And then we felt like there were people, clubs and festivals in the industry who really did want to make changes, but maybe were unsure how to make that happen.
Yeah.
So at that point
it's not an easy question to solve.
Right, so we really broke it down. We came up with a diversity roadmap. You find it on our website, or there's also diversityroadmap.org website where really, and it's like looking at stuff like who's in your team, who's in your board, what does your visual language look like? How do you communicate? really kind of break it down to sections so that people can take it and then look at it and figure out, hey, how can we adapt that for our
So it's concrete.
festival? Yeah, exactly.
It's concrete. It's like they can use the excuse we didn't know, because there is an answer. You just have to adapt it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And I think you are also open for discussions. So if a booking venue or something is coming to you and discuss about things, you are open. So if you have questions, just ask. Even when you're not live here and you're going to listen it after and there pop up some questions, that people are very nice there.
Maybe, what I also wanted to say is it's really interesting because I think also to make sustainable changes, on one hand, in certain situations, it's really important we create these safer spaces that we discussed before. But at the same time, to make lasting change, we need everyone to be in this. It's not like, oh, we don't have to work on this because there's Helvetia Rockt. We really need everybody to work with us, and then we can change something.
Yeah.
So there's also that moment where we have to break out and where, for example, guys, it's so important to have your allyship, to have you working with us on this. I think we notice it also with bookers, those who want to make a change, they can, and they do. And if they feel they kind of have to because there might be a shitstorm, then it's a different energy.
Yeah, I know what you mean. And I think it's important to say that just because you bring solutions, it's not your job to be the solution. I mean, for me, maybe it's a good comparison to say when you go to a protest, you go there to show that there is a problem, not to solve the problem. So there is always the question, but you cannot change the thing when you go to protest. Yeah, but that's not the target. And it's not your job. And it's not, your Helvetia Rockt is like a tool to get the change. But it's not like you have to be the change, right?
Yes.
A good
explanation. So I think we've worked hard the last 15 years, and I think we do have allies out there. We do have people working with us. We get space in the music scene in Switzerland. This has changed a lot at the beginning.
Yeah.
It wasn't the case. We were kind of laughed at or not taken seriously, and this has really changed a lot. But yeah, this is super important.
Yeah, it's always the same, that not the ones who are affected can change, the ones who are doing it. And these are not the affected people, because when you would be affected, you would not act like that, right? So this is why it's not about you to change it. I mean, it's great that there is something outside, and this is also the reason why I wanted to have you here, that the people know that there is a tool to change. I mean, you cannot say, yeah, I didn't find a female producer. Yeah, did you check the music directory map? No? Okay. Right? It's about that. But, there is always a big discussion about why do people like female person or non-binary people need this support? Isn't it discriminating for people who are cis hetero? So what would you answer to these people?
Yeah, I think often female non-binary people have the feeling, we're not, first of all, I don't see me on stage. I don't see people like me on stage. Therefore, I don't belong on stage. This first of all. And then also, a lot of people think, it's because I'm not as good, but it's not about, I think they're really structural. There's structures in place that disadvantage certain people because of who's making the decisions, because of kind of these brotherhoods, taking care of each other, because of gender cliches out there. I think it's, to be aware of that and then look at the structures and understand how can we change it. And what I said before about like the microphone, being on stage, that's power, that's influence. Yeah. And it's really a question who gets to tell their story. And until now, it's really primarily come from the same gender. And I want to hear other stories.
Yeah, and I think one particular part is also, there are cliches and misunderstanding of these kind of people. For example, when you get married as a woman, when you enter a room, everybody sees that. You cannot change it, and they have a mindset about women. So, for example, when we get emotional, it's weak. right? But actually it's strong to show emotions. The difference is when we have to say weak. So this is something that is coming with you everywhere where you go. And when you're in a male-dominated scene, this will make a difference. And as long as people think like that, we need somebody who is supporting the ones who get under this fucking bus, you know? So this is why I think this is very important what you're doing. And I hope it's also more understandable for people now after we talked about it.
It's funny also, I feel like you see it in different, like outside of music, in like, for example, medicine, who research was done on, which statistics are we using in architecture? A lot of buildings were built based on men. I think we see it everywhere, and it's a nice subtle until once you kind of like understand the connection, you see it everywhere.
Yeah, exactly. And so, yeah, I hope it's clear now. And if not, please ask or say your opinion. Did anything come in?
Emma Esk said, well said, Kathy.
Yeah. So, do you want to add something to this?
No, I think
Yeah.
we covered a lot so far.
Ja, I think we don't need to, wie sagt man, zitieren.
Maybe one thing that's maybe interesting to talk about, like it's a big focus of our awareness raising right now. The thing is, one thing is it's really good to see our society represented in the music scene, to hear these voices. But then there's another side to it, and that maybe is to break this kind of rock and roll mythos where we need to, on one hand, make space, but also we need to make sure that the spaces are safe.
Yeah.
Or safer, better said. So we wrote a report last year about sexualized violence at clubs and festivals, where we talked to people across Switzerland, and based on that, summarized what we found out. So this is also part of our work. How can we make the music industry and concerts and night spaces safer for people to then want to be a part of it, right?
Mm-hmm. And I think I wanted to add something as well, because I think one of the things you also hear a lot is like, yeah, but you don't know, one day it's Flinta, another day it's Finta, you are not agreeing with each other how it should go, then there is another ledger that is coming to LGBTQ+, and so on. And I think it's important for people to know that this is a process. You know, it's not like it's like that and then it's fixed. It's also with the gender language. It's something that is a tryout. Something will go on, something will work, something not. But it's not like you cannot expect from people who are experiencing themselves in a stage where they could not before because they were unseen, because they did not get this space. You cannot expect them that they are fully involved. So,
and the society didn't have words or language to represent them. I think this, and it's funny because in other places you see this development as well. Like suddenly iPhones came about, and no one had a problem with saying iPhones, right? Or like in German, you'd say Fräulein, or people would say Fräulein in restaurants, and then at some point we realized that that's really weird.
No, iPhone is a very good example, because most people are always discussing about I cannot do the stop in the word, like when you say Köchinnen, but when you say iPod, you do it as well, so you can do it.
Yeah, listeners in Zurich, be sure to vote now on the weekend.
Yeah, please. When we talk about voting, so I mean, we were agreeing that your job is very important already before, but now there was this voting in the US from Donald Trump, and I mean, everybody who did not live under a rock the last few weeks or months know that he is against transgender people, and they all also want to cut laws for them, and also the non-binary people are affected, of course women as well, because I mean abortion and stuff. As I said, if you don't live under a rock, you heard some about these things. So what does it mean for you as Helvetia Rockt? Did you have like a special meeting after it, or didn't affect it you so much in the first line, or how was it? I mean, it's one part of your job. When things like this happen, it affects you, right?
Hey, definitely. And I think, I don't know if you experience it like this too, but I feel like already there was this shift in Europe and in other places in the world, which was going like politically, right?
Very bad examples in Switzerland with the drag stories and stuff.
Yeah, and I mean in Austria and Italy, in all with countries all around. So this already for me was starting to bring a change, and now since Trump came in, it feels like an avalanche of people just don't seem to be scared to put their opinion out there, no matter how hurtful.
Yeah, it's easier to be in the hate than to think and go into topics, and you know what I'm trying to say.
So this is, I mean, I think we have difficult times ahead. And I think we need to be awake, and we need to be active, and doing what we can.
But what did it to you in the first place? Were you like, oh shit, now we're fucked up? Or it was like, okay, we expected it, because it was like, I mean, as you said, there were also things before that happened who went in this direction.
Yeah, I think, I speak for me personally, I kind of until the election day hoped that Kamala had a chance, so exactly. And then when I woke up that morning and put my phone first thing, and I thought, oh, shit. And now with all this, I mean, this is how Trump is filling the roles that work with him. I mean, it's a joke, but it's not funny because it's real.
It's funny, how is it said, but true. Sad but true.
Yeah, totally. And we do see, I feel like we are already seeing it like filter. I mean, we all.
So let me ask a question. Okay. Are you scared as Helvetia Rockt that your work will be destroyed now?
Good question. I think probably our work's more important than ever, and it will be in the coming months. Yeah, I mean, there are things that are scary with regards to funding or what's prioritized, ideologies that are out there. So there is that element to it. And at the same time, I feel like now more than ever, community is so valuable. And I think I really want to say that too. I feel like over the last 10 years in Switzerland, also with the feminist strike and Black Lives Matter, I think there were different movements that have really helped us connect.
Yeah.
And that's a really important infrastructure right now. We need to use that both digitally, virtually, but also in person, physical meals, taking care of each other, feeling part of something. I feel like it was always important. So right now, more than ever.
And I think we talked about it before, or let's say like that you did before, that the work that you already did will also have an impact still. So it's not, we will never start from zero, right? Even when there will be steps back in this evolution, we are still not there where we started.
Yeah.
So this should give us hope. I mean, we are changing. We are still changing, and there are still people who are not accepting stuff like discrimination or racism or sexism, and we won't go away. We won't go away. How did Michael Moore say it? You can bury us, but they forgot we are seeds. This is the thing, right?
Yes.
So let's talk about something better. What do you think is no? But the next question is also about the future, so maybe, yeah. But let's just ask it. No, I want to ask you something before. Why is this work important for you personally?
Yeah, I think it was a little bit linked to what I talked about before, working for BMG and seeing that I love music. I was working music, but it didn't feel good. And somehow the work for Helvetia Rockt is really a way of being in the music scene, but working with the feminism, queer feminism, stuff that also makes my heart beat in the same way music does. So I think this is really a job that I can stand behind. I stand behind it, the organization. I feel proud to work there, and it's a way I can be close to music, in a way that feels good.
Yeah. And you are also affected of the topics, right? You are serving for.
Yeah,
Definitely.
definitely.
So, yeah.
And to see, I think there's certain moments, especially, I notice it when I go and visit our projects, or this like grand finale concert where we really see what our work's doing, and this is magic. This is great. Like sometimes when you're on your computer, you don't feel it, and then when you do and you see, and there are people who said, "Hey, you changed my life."
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah,
That's pretty awesome.
not to forget that in difficult times. That hey, yeah.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be like plenty people who are saying it. It's already such an amazing thing when one person is coming to you and say like, you really helped me, right?
Yeah, totally.
So we are hoping very much that this will continue like that. But what do you think in 10 years? Where are we now? Where are we going to be as the music scene?
Yeah.
What do you expect? I mean, it can also include like AI and stuff. So what do you think personally 10 years ahead?
There's like the directions I think it's going, and there's the things I hope for, of course. AI, I mean, I don't know. Have you heard about this hologram ABBA show?
Yeah.
Right?
But I think we will explain it quickly. There is, holograms are like a 3-4D animation. So you see the people on the stage as a hologram, so like a computer animation, and they sing the ABBA songs.
Yeah, exactly. So, and the thing is, they can run this show every night, and the work was beforehand setting up. Now they built an arena, and it's like, they're making a lot of money on this, of course, without actually needing to be there. And it's also interesting, of course, what effect that has on us if we go to a concert with holograms.
Yeah. I don't think that, sorry, go on.
So AI, I think, is super interesting where that's going to take us. Also, there's talk of, I don't know, there's maybe a song I really like by, I don't know, Beyonce, and I really want to hear it sung by someone else. And those kind of way then raise a lot of questions about authorship. And I'm really curious to see what happens. Maybe see it all. Yeah, totally. And then, we already see this trend, and I'm sure Spotify or streaming platforms have a lot to do with it, where people like listen via algorithm, and so they maybe get to know the song, whether they'll remember it or not, we don't know. They don't know anything about the artist. You see in some concert formats, like where it's like bands come on stage, play 3 songs, but it's more about being with your friends. It's more about an experience, maybe an Instagrammable experience, as opposed to wanting to know, hey, who is this artist, and going deeper. And I really hope in some ways we can return to that. And finding out, who are they, and why does their music move me so much? What do they represent? And then, I don't know, the other thing that I think about a lot, and it's not gender specific, but how do we raise the profile? I feel like in some circles, artists it's not taken seriously as a job, even though it's really hard work. I think often people think, oh, that's nice, you have your hobby, you can do a bit of that, but it's not seen as a job, and that leaves us with really precarious situations for artists. And from a very personal standpoint, my fear is that my heroes are going to stop making music because at some point they want a pension, right? So I really hope that this kind of society makes a switch there, starts valuing, seeing how important, especially in political times, music is, and that we start giving it the same value as other jobs where people work really hard.
But, we talked about this very topic a lot in this podcast, and I think it's also because we don't take ourselves serious as musicians. Yeah. And as long as we don't, it's also about paying each other fairly, It starts with things like that. And do you agree with that it must be changed maybe first?
Yeah, I think kind of both. I think they're linked. I think, yes, we should take ourselves seriously. We also, with Helvetia Rockt, we try and be a role model in that how we pay ourselves and how we pay people working with us. So I do think that is important. But I think also the structures there have to change so that people can afford to
But
pay.
I mean, what structures? I mean, when you go into the booking area, there are no structures. There are also no rules, and especially with the radio playings, it's vanished the last few years. I mean, we had Kamil from Universal here, and he told us they don't have more chances to get a song into the radio than anybody else anymore. So I also see a chance in all these things that are changing now because of the technique and stuff, and maybe it will equalize the chances also somehow, you know. I mean, it already did with Spotify and YouTube and so on. It's also different. I mean, I had to talk to a new artist that I have now, and I told him, like, you don't have to do songs where about how do you say that you think, okay, this is going to be played in the radio, so I will write it like that and that, I will make the music like that, because it doesn't matter anymore.
That's definitely like a discourse. No, or like talking about Spotify and okay, in the first 30 seconds, this has to happen, etc., and how it affects how people write songs. But I also think, especially in Switzerland, and maybe knowing how the UK music industry works, or I feel like in the UK, there's still space for really interesting artists to be commercially successful.
Never existed in Switzerland.
And that, I think,
but we get the chance. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, and I think it's really a shame. I mean, since I've been involved in the Swiss music scene, I'm blown away. I think there's some great artists out there.
Yeah,
super interesting. And they don't get radio play, and I don't get it.
No.
Because
even when they are, I mean, for example, Erzählt, the song Juicy, I mean, it was a huge hype, even in Germany and stuff. They did not play it because it was urban.
Yeah. And this is maybe what I mean with structures also.
Yeah, you know, we already criticized the radio stations a lot in this podcast. But I mean, it's really time to move on and to be more risky again, I think.
Yeah.
It's really time, because we are as well, so you should do it as well.
Yeah, and take care of your listeners. They want interesting sounds. I don't even know how you say in English, like Einheitsbrei. Oh, it's
Einheitsbrei. Yeah, I don't know neither. I mean, you're the negative, right?
Porridge, something like that.
Yeah, it's porridge. That's good. Or poutine. The French, the Canadian, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so let's move on to the last question, if we don't have anyone from the chat who is asking questions. So what would you like to see from the Swiss music industry? What is not talked about enough? Or let's say it simply, if you have a wish, it doesn't have to be realistic. But if you could wish something from the people, from the industry, from the listeners, what would it be?
I guess I wish, I don't know, I feel like the music industry is a better place when our society is represented.
Yeah.
Like what you were saying before, so with people showing emotions, or I feel like there's a lot to be gained for this. And I would love the Swiss music industry to see that themselves. It's not like, oh, my friends are feminists, therefore I should do that.
Yeah.
But this is important. It's good for us as a music scene. I want to, hear different voices, that that click happens where you're like, oh yeah, because then I think together we can really do something. That would be my wish, and that's on all levels, from like music schools, from like labels, the music industry. Like this is for all of us. It's not for Finter people, and it's not for Helvetia Rockt. This could be awesome.
It's so funny. I told you that the people are giving always the same answer. You did it as well. It's so nice. But it's a good sign, I think, because it shows that in the deep of our hearts, we have all the same wish. That it gets better for everyone. And that's a nice thing. Thank you very much, Kathy.
Thank you too.
Before we... Oh, is there a question?
There's one last question.
Okay, wait. I give you my microphone.
Yes.
Because you are so... Your causes to worry.
And what is the most precious memory you carry in your heart from your time working with Helvetia Rockt?
Oh.
Wow.
This interview.
Oh, there's been a few actually. Oh, we did this really nice thing last year. We were celebrating 15 years of Helvetia Rockt this year. And M for Music, a lot of you'll know it, it's kind of the music conference in Switzerland. And to celebrate our anniversary, we had like a cake eating.
A cake.
And we asked or invited people to bake cakes for us, and also Many people we invited to do this was also cis guys. And it was really a bit symbolic also in terms of how the cake's divided and giving cake, right? And we were super touched by the people who went home and baked a cake for Helvetia Rockt. And that gave us the feeling, hey, we're not alone here. There are people out there who care about our work and are also willing to give up privilege to make it a fairer music industry. And this was a beautiful moment.
That's a very nice anecdote. I don't know the word in English. Anecdote. You know, I'm always looking to Aliyah because she's very good in English, but I forgot there's a native one. Okay, I think it's good when we come to an end soon. But before we end, we have our second category. This is not my job. So, Kathy, what is not your job?
Maybe like, a question I hear a lot, and this is like speaking with my Helvetia Rockt cap on.
Yeah.
A lot of people come to us and say, oh, you know what? We should make a Finter festival. You should make a Finter festival.
Not we, you.
Yeah. And a nice idea, totally. But I think our job is really to represent all Finter musicians. And I think as soon as you go into curating, you're making choices.
Yeah.
So therefore, we don't have a Finter festival. If someone else wants to do it, great. And then, I mean, you see it also in other places where I think festivals who really, they want to do something and they have like a Finter stage or female stage, but this can also be a bit destructive because you kind of separating it out, whereas actually you should just put Finter artists on your stages, right?
Yeah,
So
I got it.
So I think, this is
Not your
this is a
job.
topic that comes up a lot.
Yeah, I see. And that's not your job. Your job is to present solutions and to support them, but not to, as you said, then it's separated again and it should be involved in the regular scene and not, there is a festival for Finter. That's not the thing we want to do. So, is there anything left you think, that should have been mentioned in this podcast or that I wanted to tell the world about it?
No, we covered a lot. I think if people who don't know us and are interested in what we do,
They have a podcast as well.
yeah. And then also go on a website. There's an agenda there with workshops. You can become a member there. Also follow us on Instagram.
We'll put everything in the show notes. Just have to
put them also on the website. If you scroll down, you can sign up for the newsletter. We have an email and a WhatsApp newsletter.
Yeah, and the membership is for free.
The membership isn't for free.
Isn't it? Oh my god, I am a member. For me, I forgot about it. Okay, can we delete it? It's not for free.
But that goes up a lot. I think often people need
It's kind of for free, so it's not much.
Yeah, I think it's like 50 francs a year.
Yeah.
It's 20 francs a year if you're under 18.
This is why I forgot it, because it's more like a donation than...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry. But you do get, like from next year, you can join the workshop. The workshops are cheaper if you're a member. And also, like, we do annual general meeting, and we want to have you there. We want to hear your voices and what you want from us. So get involved.
And most important, you get stickers. You get the Helvetia Rockt stickers. I even have here somewhere.
And you get stickers.
Yeah, stickers are very important. So thank you very, very much for being here and answering all the questions. I hope you felt comfortable in my little flat studio. And yeah, I hope everybody that was listening was enjoying it too. And take care when you go home, because it's snowing in Switzerland. This is why we drink tea, because we love snow and it's snowing. So it's very important that you all get to know about that. So I cannot tell you what our next guest is because it's not sure now, but I can tell you I'm trying to get somebody from the SRF virus, because we are talking about radio so much, so maybe it's their chance to be here. So take it as a chance, please, SRF. And yes, we wish you a nice evening. Thank you for listening, and thank you again for being here.
Hey, thanks too. And it's funny to prepare for tonight. I listened to some of the other Bubble podcasts and learn a lot. So if you are watching for the first time or listening check it out.
Yes.
It's really, I got a lot of insights from it.
Even if you do a podcast like that as well. So you can listen to both and you get good informations, right?
Yeah, Tom.
All right, so that's the end of this episode. Bye.